Hello, and welcome to the webinar on what should I feed? Nutritionally balanced diets are for the birds. I'm your host, Laura Doering, and today's special guest is Kara Burns. And hi, Kara. Let's see here. And just to let you know, I have, let's see, so I have a background on Kara. It reads very impressive. I am looking at the back of your wall there, and you have far too less or not too many certificates. I mean, your wall should just be covered in certificates because you have so much experience in the health field for both humans and birds. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a quick background. This is just a snippet of Kara here. So she is a licensed veterinary technician. She holds a master's degree in physiology and a master's degree in counseling physiology. She began her career with human medicine, working as an emergency psychologist and as a poison specialist dealing with human and animal poisons. And she is the founder and president of the Academy of Veterinary Nutrition Technicians. She teaches nutrition courses around the world. She's an independent nutritional and well-being consultant, as well as a consultant for Lafeber Company and Emory. And that's just a small snippet of who our special guest is today. Also, this is the Veterinary Technician Appreciation Week. So I was thinking we could start things off with, if you could just give us a little background, a little bit of what a veterinary technician, who they are, what they do, let's
Sure.
give us a little background on veterinary technicians. Let's give them their due. Your due.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be here talking with everyone today. We're obviously going to be talking about nutrition. But first, let me tell you a little bit about veterinary technicians. We're part of the veterinary healthcare team. And I want you to think of it kind of as we are veterinary nurses. We do many things in the hospital, and basically we should be doing everything that we are licensed to do. Veterinarians are licensed to do 3 to 4 things that we absolutely cannot. Only the doctors can do that. And then, we really are we're helping or doing the rest of it. So if you think of veterinarians, they diagnose, they prescribe, they do surgery, they prognose, and then, that's things that only they can do. And then, veterinary nurses, veterinary technicians, which is what we're called at the present time, we do the rest. And actually, Laura, I think you were going to ask about technician specialties. So
Yes.
Is it okay if I just touch on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Sorry. We also, veterinary technicians or veterinary nurses, also, there are 16 specialties. So certain areas of veterinary medicine that veterinarians can specialize in, and then and they have, I think, more than 16, but we as vet techs have 16 areas. My area of, well, I don't want to say expertise, but my specialization area is nutrition. And I do nutrition across all species. So I fell in love with birds when I worked for an avian specialist in the state of Maine, long time ago. But so I love birds. I have birds. You'll probably hear my birds. I usually, for my presentations, I usually take them out of my office. I'm in my home office right now, but I knew that you guys wouldn't mind if I kept them here. So you will hear them. What you'll hear are my lovebirds. I also have a Myers parrot, which is out in a different part of the house. So that's, sorry, I'm talking way too much, but that's that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, so hey, if you're gonna show some love for your veterinary technician this week, because it is you get your due this week. It's
yes,
well deserved. And so, well, before we get started, I just want a couple of reminders for our audience. One is hopefully we'll get to some questions at the end of the webinar. And to ask your question, of course, please use the Q&A button and not the chat feature. Use the Q&A button and we'll go through those questions. Also very excited to announce again that once again, we're going to do a giveaway at the end of the webinar. So one lucky viewer gets to win not only a bag of tropical fruit pellets, but also a bag of your parrot's favorite food. So stay with us so you can be eligible for our awesome giveaway.
That's awesome. I'm not eligible, am I?
Right.
No.
And your bird will be one of the first to try the new tropical pellets because they just became available this week. So, all right. So with that said, I think you have some awesome, informative slides to show us. And I know this is a very important topic because, I mean, just from, if you ask any veterinarian, any vet tech, nutrition, avian nutrition, that's like where the be all end all of your bird's overall health. So, so today we're going to explore your bird's nutrition, its diet, inside and out, how it affects, you know, your bird as a whole. So here we go. Looking forward to this.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And hopefully everyone can see my presentation, my screen.
Yes.
Can you guys?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good. So, so yeah, I like to explain things. It might be a little technical. I'm still going to try to make it fun. This isn't meant to overwhelm or bore or anything. It's really, we're going to hopefully be on the same page about the importance of a nutritionally balanced diet. So, so that's my Myers parrot. That's Bella. And so I'm gonna just move some things around on my multiple screens here. So there we go. So the process that ultimately determines the health of really any pet, but especially birds, depends on it's a complex interaction between genetics and environmental factors. But what I want you to realize is that diet or nutrition is one of the most important influences on health and disease. And so when we're talking about nutrition, we're going to be looking at, or we have to think about nutrition in terms of species specific or species, you know, what species, and life stages, because as I always talk to my cat and dog owners about, you know, life stage nutrition is a concept that watches out for certain nutrients and their requirements at certain levels in life. The same is true if, you know, if we're talking about the avian species. So it's really what we're focused on with life stage is that the bird is receiving the ideal balance of nutrients during each stage of life. So here you see some baby lovebirds, and actually see this guy right here. That is Suki. Suki is a red suffusion, and Suki is, well, one of the ones that isn't talking right now, but yeah, so that's one of my lovebirds. So again, the life stage concept, it's important to understand, you know, why do we care, right? Why do we care what we're feeding a healthy or a clutch? Why do we what's the big consideration about a senior bird? Well, what we're trying to do is avoid nutritional excesses and nutritional deficiencies because of, and we're going to talk specifically about the different nutrients, but we're trying to avoid this, right? This is a calcium deficiency in a young budgie. We don't want this to happen, and we can prevent this through proper nutrition. So I think what really the number one takeaway from today is on the screen. Improper nutrition is the cause of 90% of health problems and the leading cause of death in pet birds. So if you remember nothing else, remember that we need to focus on nutrition for the overall health, well-being, and longevity of your birds. So physical signs of improper nutrition, you can see them here. You probably know them just as well as I do, right? We have tattered feathers, beak overgrowth, maybe flaking or bleeds when the beak is trimmed, that powdery foot look, and it looks like the skin is peeling off. So we want to avoid this, and we may not see it initially. A lot of this comes into play as as time goes on, and those either deficiencies or excesses do damage over an extended period of time. So I hope that makes sense. As Laura said, we'll be talking about or taking questions as well. So improper nutrition involves all the systems of the body. And it can be seen as, abnormalities in body weight and body shape. I mean, look at this budgie. He's a little portly, wouldn't you say? And I know we don't like to, to say he's fat or he's obese, but in the veterinary world, in veterinary medicine and in human medicine, yeah, obesity is a disease condition and it's a concern. And it's also a risk factor for so many other disease conditions. So improper nutrition will also see unusual appearance of feathers, again, the beak, the skin, and we may also see some undesirable behavior. Now, I'm not a behaviorist, I'm a nutritionist, but really everything in the body is interrelated and comes down to a proper foundation of proper nutrition. So nutritional deficiencies also accelerate the aging process. And it's primarily through, and think about it in humans, right? As we lose moisture and tissue elasticity as we get older, and I can say that because I'm older, then you can see it in our skin and in our, the skin on our face and our neck. The same is true in our birds. And so really the nutritional concepts from species to species aren't really that much different. So again, don't get caught up on any of these slides, okay? This is just for us to walk through the importance of proper nutrition. So here we have improper nutrition. And what is it leading to? Malnourishment. And that could be undernourished, maybe nourishment of certain nutrients, or overnourished, so obesity again. So malnourished is a general term. And then we see a decline in the bird's overall health. Pathogens, bacteria, fungus will take that opportunity to jump on board and get involved. Poor immune function, leading to infections. So you can see, don't worry about like all the specifics that I'm talking about. I'm really hoping that you see the benefit of proper nutrition on the body as a whole. So oftentimes, it's up to us as veterinary healthcare team members to educate pet bird owners. Now, I know many of you on the webinar today you guys know your birds inside and out, and you've probably already had education. You probably can educate on a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about. But I think it's important to remember that sometimes signs are overlooked, maybe not by you, but maybe by some of our other bird owners. So again, that's why education is so important. And one of the things that I love to do for cats and dogs, which should also be done for all other species, is body condition scoring. I don't know if any of you do this, if your veterinary team has ever talked to you about it, but it's a good way for you as bird owners to keep on top of the nutritional health of your birds. So body condition scoring, it's a 1 to 5 scale. It's, I want to say it's pretty simple. It's just something that we have to get used to. And so basically we're trying to see, is your bird, in conjunction with, weighing your bird, is your bird at an ideal weight? Or is it, a little bit overweight? Or is it not, is it underweight? Which is, other than ideal, neither is good, right? So it's just a more common way for me to really keep track of how my birds are doing and how, my patients' pets are doing. I hope that makes sense. It's hard to show if we're not actually, handling birds, but here you can see if we did a body condition score on this without actually, touching this bird, we can see that this bird's pretty emaciated. Oftentimes it's hard to see under their feathers. It's like a, I don't know if you guys are like other animals or not. I love all animals. And if you look at a very furry dog or maybe a Persian cat, they may look absolutely fine. But then once you do a body condition score, and the same is true of feathers on our birds. That's why I like to encourage that we do body condition scoring, because had we not on this bird, we may not have picked up that this bird is extremely thin, very emaciated, and you can see there is almost no muscle. Oh, here, let me go over here. There's almost no muscle overlying the sternum. So I hope that's just a little helpful tip for you guys to monitor. So let's talk about some key nutrients. Do I want to make you nutrition experts? No, I just want to bring awareness to what is needed for a complete and balanced nutritional profile based on the nutrients that birds need, okay? So water, I know that one seems, just too obvious, but water for birds, for dogs, for cats, for humans is the most important nutrient. So, so we have to make sure that the water quality is a very important factor for our bird patients. I know I don't have to tell you guys on this webinar this, but many pet owners don't understand that we have to clean the dishes daily, right? I mean, I'm sure that you guys have seen some of those nasty dishes. And I mean, that's not healthy. The bacteria that's growing, oh, it's nasty. And we really should be disinfecting at least 2 times a week, if not every day, right? Because of, yeah, we wouldn't want to drink out of some of these bowls if they weren't clean and disinfected. We should be removing any and all soft food from the cage. And again, nutrition, a lot of it is husbandry with our birds. So shouldn't have it in more than 4 hours. And really, I think we can monitor our birds a little bit more often than that. And if they're, if they're done eating and it's a soft food or it's a fruit or a vegetable, take it out. Birds love automatic waterers. I don't know if any of you have any, and if you do, at the end, I would love to hear what ones you're using, because they enjoy that. Birds like to have fun, right? At least my birds do. That's why I love birds, right? They're just always active, and then they cuddle. So what could be better, right?
And then they like to splash around on their water dish and their water bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have a very soft spot for lovebirds. I have 6 of them, all paired off, and they love to play. They play in their water. So that's why this is one of the key ones that I like to talk to pet owners, bird owners about. And so another thing, again, many of you will probably already know this, but we should separate and make sure that they have drinking water and water to bathe in, right? Because we don't drink the water that we bathe in. Why would we expect any of our pets to? That's just nasty. From what I know, most municipal tap waters are okay, but the current recommendation for well water is to boil it first before giving that to your birds, or I guess you could purchase water, but I'm just trying.
Can you use one of the water filters? That's like I use for myself. Filter the water through the filter, like a pitcher.
Yeah. I don't know that the filter would get, if there happens to be any bacteria or anything in the well water, but I mean that's more of a stretch. I think
or
you're
for tap water, I guess. But can you?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Great questions. Thank you.
Oh, and so I'm looking at the Amazon with the water bottle. That's the one where you do probably have to check that frequently, because sometimes the stopper can get stopped, right? Is that, or if a bird puts like part of a toy or a tissue or a paper up there, some birds do that.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know how many people use those. I use what the macaw is drinking out of. Those are just more comfortable for me. But I have seen some pet birds come in, and they are used to drinking that. But yeah, with birds especially, you have to, make sure that they haven't, chewed through the stopper thing on the bottom, and because they'll check that out, and you guys know as well as I do, they'll tear that apart. So again, it's just making sure that we're double checking these areas. So thank you. That's another great point. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is that vitamin supplementation in water, so adding vitamins to water, is for me, I discourage that, because I've seen too much increase in bacterial growth. I've seen, and I've seen also literature or scientific research that says that the vitamins, once they're in the water, they lose their potency, and it can also lead to some taste issues or taste aversion. The last thing we need in any species, but the last thing that we need in our birds is for them to have a taste aversion, where they just don't want to eat or drink that particular thing anymore. So if we cause a taste aversion to water, we're in a lot of trouble. So protein, really all I want you to know about this is that protein is made up of amino acids. Those are the building blocks of protein. And obviously protein requirements are going to differ among species, but if we are focusing on highly digestible proteins and those that are bioavailable. So what bioavailability is the amount, the percentage of nutrients that can be absorbed and retained. So again, we don't have to get into the amino acids. I wouldn't want you to. I just want you to think about the digestibility and which proteins are being used, and in the formulations or in the formulations that maybe you're making, and are those truly the highest highest digestibility, and are they being absorbed? So we talked about excesses and deficiencies, and that's why, again, that's why I personally am a proponent of nutritionally balanced foods, because if we are getting excess protein, then there's a potential for kidney disease because the kidneys excrete protein, and behavioral changes. And so what we are seeing here, this one is some gout. And so then if we're seeing protein deficiencies, then we'll see, the bird not able to grow or gain weight. You can see here the poor quality feathering, stress lines on the feathers, poor reproductive performance. So, so again, I don't want you to get bogged down in specifics, but just remember that there are detrimental effects to too much or too little. So fats are a concentrated energy source, and essential fatty acids, I love essential fatty acids because of the things that you see here. They help to maintain the cell, and they actually help to give feathers their pigmentation. I mean, look at these lorikeets. These are beautiful. They're not mine. God, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Because they're gorgeous. But again, fats in the diet are helping with this feather pigmentation. Fats in the diet also, though, lend to high energy. Too much fat in the diet could lead to hepatic lipidosis, which is, you probably know it as fatty liver disease. And it can end the life of a bird. So we need to monitor how much fat is in the diet. And obesity or high fat can lead to, we already talked about obesity, diarrhea, oily feathers, congestive heart failure. Both of these guys that you see here are overweight. And then low fat, weight loss. And again, we can see that on this guy, or I can, if this was your bird, you could feel, and he's probably a low body condition score. There's not enough fat in the diet. They can't resist diseases, and there's poor growth of the bird himself and feathers. So I'm hoping that by going through these, you see why some of these nutrients are so important and how they play a role on what you see in your birds. Love birds. Sorry, I have to give love to all the species, but I love a lovebird. So, okay. Carbs, especially for birds, are another energy source. And if they aren't getting enough carbohydrates, then we'll see issues with growth, nervous system, so some neurologic issues. Maybe they can't perch properly. And then we get into vitamins. And this again is probably one that you hear a lot about, or maybe you even talk a lot about yourselves. If we see severe deficiencies, or even, let's start with moderate deficiencies, we may not pick up on that right away, we being bird owners, because, you know, it's deficient, but it's not causing, you know, a significant problem immediately. But what's happening is that, you know, underneath there's, you know, suboptimal health, suboptimal nutrition for extended period of time. And then we will definitely see some serious health problems. Too much vitamin is often found from, you know, well-meaning owners that are over supplementing either their nutritionally balanced food or adding multivitamin preparations. And then we could see too much vitamin D leading to renal failure, especially if they're being over supplemented. And really, again, we don't have to get into all the vitamins, but just know that if it's not nutritionally balanced, then we will see issues with too high a vitamin count or too low a vitamin count. So that's really all I'm trying to say there. So more vitamins. Okay, I don't know if anyone has ever seen this, vitamin A deficiency. Vitamin A helps, again, to maintain the health of the skin. If it's deficient, we're going to see malformed beak and claws. They'll be itching quite a bit and have dry and flaky skin. Vitamin B. So think of thiamine. Okay, it's going to interfere with the bird being able to actually utilize the nutrients. So utilize the nutrition that you're giving them. It will mess up their metabolism, and they'll definitely have some appetite issues. So vitamin B issues you'll probably see a little bit sooner than some of these longer term, more chronic deficiencies. And if it's a vitamin B deficiency, then we're going to see paralysis of limbs and muscle atrophy. So what do I mean by that? Muscle wasting. So, so again, we'll see on the bottom here, you see these curled toes or ventriflexion. So it's, think of it as where your muscles are wasting away and then they get stuck in a certain position. So minerals, vitamins and minerals have many complex interactions. And again, that's why I want to see something nutritionally formulated that takes into account all the nutrients that we're talking about. If a level of a mineral rises above the requirement, and the requirements have been established by, you know, people much smarter than me, they've gone back and they've looked at the avian species and have determined, you know, the level of minerals, the level of vitamins, et cetera, et cetera. So if it's above the requirement, then the excess absorbed or excreted also increases. So said another way, you'll be seeing more excrement in your cages. All right, so calcium. This is probably one of the big ones that you've heard about, maybe that you're concerned about. Calcium deficiency, again, we'll see lameness, limb deviation. So their legs will not look right. Their egg binding, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and fractures. So here we have a radiograph of egg binding, and this guy doesn't have fractures yet, but he definitely has some lameness, and his legs are not normal. So you see some deviation there. Too much calcium, the body isn't able to use all the nutrients. So again, we're going to see kidney issues, and here's some more gout. So let's break it down pretty basically. If a bird is on a healthy diet, then supplements aren't needed. And it's better to start with a healthy diet than, and it's healthier to start with a healthy diet than add supplements to like a really poor diet. Okay, so we're coming into more of the, you know, why is diet so important? Because of we want the bird to live the best life that it can. And it's better to start with a healthy diet than a poor one where, you know, I've heard many people say, oh, we can just add supplements to that. Well, you really don't need to if you are providing a complete and balanced diet. And it's probably cheaper in the long run too, because adding supplements is going to increase cost, and it's not the healthy alternative for most birds. So balanced diet is going to lead to optimal health. Sorry. Tough words today. And so we're going to now look at some formulated foods. We're going to talk about pellets, extruded diets with a pellet appearance, and whole grains or maybe some seeds with added pelleted material. And then seed-based foods. And one thing I want to bring up about seed-based foods is that vitamins and minerals, commercial seed-based foods, are coated on the outside of the seed. But oftentimes what happens is the bird then dehulls that seed and the essential vitamins and minerals are removed. And so now there's a nutritional imbalance. So seed is easy. Birds like it. It does give some psychological stimulation, and it may be less expensive, but it's not balanced. Vitamin, mineral, protein deficiencies is going to be too much fat. So that's why with each of these, I wanted to show you all the different nutrients, how that is going to play a role in what we choose to feed our birds. Some birds like certain seeds and not others. We can most certainly create seed junkies. Nutritional value does get lost, especially if seed is stored for a longer period of time. And then we have to supplement with veggies, fruits, minerals, etc. So for those that are on a seed-only diet, then we have some risk factors that we have to talk to bird owners about. Obesity is one, and you can see in this budgie, he's got some beak issues. He has fatty liver disease. He's obese. And then again, that beak is overgrown. And this is due to he's living a sedentary lifestyle. So he doesn't have like a lot to do in his cage. He doesn't have many toys, and he's on a high fat diet. So bound pellets. Bound pellets are really, the nutrients are ground and they're put into a pellet formula. So the grain is ground, and then vitamins and minerals and the nutritional profile for certain species are taken into account and added into this formulation. It's a consistent pellet, as you can see here, right? they're all pretty much the same size. So what does that mean? That birds can't really pick out their favorite. So extruded pellets, and you've probably seen some of these, right? And so with extruded pellets, again, it's the grains are ground and the vitamins and minerals, etc., are added until a balanced formulation is reached, just like with the other pellets. The difference here is they're forced through an extruder, which has it's a machine that has think of like a cookie press where you can make, star shapes or whatever. This is a machine with a press or a die on the end that makes the half moon shapes and the round and the star shapes. So that's how we end up with the different shapes. Also with different colors. So they come in a variety of sizes, due to the species and the size of the bird. Owners have to be educated, and I'm sure many of you are already well familiar with this if you feed this type of a pellet, because birds are going to want to pick out certain colors. So owners, it's not really up to us as owners to be picking out colors or shapes. It does provide some psychological stimulation, but we can also get some psychological stimulation from toys and foraging with bound pellets. These are multicolored and they come in a whole variety of shapes. And so this is just showing you the difference between the two. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do there. So some of the advantages: vitamins, minerals, energy, all those nutrients that we talked are added according to scientific research. And that's true of both the extruded pellets and the bound pellets. It's life stage, and the life stage concept is built in. So there will be different ones for different ages. There'll be different species. There's quality control because of companies are putting these together, and they have a quality control department that is making sure that that everything is clean and efficient and no bacteria, et cetera, et cetera. Able to store these, and they're easier to offer. Some of the disadvantages, both the bound pellets and the extruded pellets, that there may be acceptance problems if the bird isn't used to it from the beginning. I don't really think that is as bad as it sounds, like in the world, in the world of bird nutrition. I know there are some that have a great deal of difficulty transitioning, but the majority of them do transition extremely easily and readily. Fruits and vegetables, I think you guys are pretty familiar with these. They're supplements. The fruits are basically sugar and water. And really, from a nutritional standpoint, we shouldn't be giving fruits more than twice a week. There's a great deal of sugar in them, which is fine, but too much sugar will result in too high of a fat content. Sugar will lead to obesity. So again, I'm sure some of you give it every day, and as long as the bottom line is, as long as everything's done in moderation, then we're probably all fine. If I ate ice cream every single day, then the sugar from that, as well as a lot of other things, I'm going to have an issue. So again, as long as it's done in moderation.
A bowl full versus a spoon of ice cream a day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I just can't stop at a spoonful. So I need to,
A big spoon, of course, but yeah.
yes. Veggies, fresh or cooked, dark green, red, orange vegetables, birds love them. They can be given daily. I don't know if anyone feeds comfrey. If you do, please stop. Comfrey is in birds related to or associated with liver damage, so we don't want to do that. When we're talking about transitioning, just what you wanted to see was bird feces, right? So on the left, you see a normal dropping feces and urates with urine soaking into the paper. And then over here on the right-hand side, there's two. And what we're seeing is a colored pellet right there, a colored pellet of food. And so again, we need to be aware that if they are eating certain colors, then their feces will or has the potential to become similar in color. And, you know, if they're eating the red ones that we saw, then that gives owners a, you know, a huge concern where, especially owners that are relatively new and not realizing that that's the pigment. So it's not blood, it's the pigment. But again, you know, a veterinarian is going to have to help with that. Formed seed products. We can aid in transitioning birds from seed to pellet. These, as you know, are nutriberries, and they're comprised of whole grains and seeds, which are mixed with additional components and stuck together. And it's similar to pellets, but it's not ground. So, so the bird has to pick off the seed to eat. Now, I love nutriberries. My birds personally are on pellets, and they also get, you know, X amount of nutriberries. So there's Bella eating her nutriberry. She posed so well for that picture. She was basically like, don't touch my nutriberry. So in a nutshell, we know that diet, again, is one of the most important influences on health and disease. And I just wanted to say it one more time. Improper nutrition. I love this cockatoo. I mean, look at that crest.
The crest of the little.
Yeah.
Having a bad crest day.
Exactly. And I don't think, you know, he or she cares. So he cares. So improper nutrition is the cause of 90% of health problems and the leading cause of death in pet birds. So we want to really focus on nutrition and not get, you know, we don't want to really run into any of these inevitable signs of improper nutrition. So, so thank you for listening. I hope that makes sense now as to why I was going into to nutrients, but certain nutrients, either too many or either too high a level or too low a level, we're going to run into health issues. And with nutritionally balanced diets, we're not as apt to have those health issues. So thank you, Laura and Brenda, for having me. And
well, I think Kara, that I think everyone should take a printout of that last statement that you had, where, you know, imbalanced diet leads to 90% of health issues in birds, and put that on, near the cage somewhere to remind you every day to strive to feed your bird a balanced diet, because those are pretty startling, you know, slides that we saw, and it's a lot of it looks like can be avoidable by really putting concentrating on balanced nutrition. So
yeah,
that was very informative, and it was much easier to follow than you thought. So you did a very good job on on making at least, you know, so we could get the visual and understand what's going on. And I have to say that I think we have a record number of questions for you. I don't know if I've ever seen this many questions pop up. So Nutrition is definitely a topic that we are very interested in. Okay, so yeah, okay, so here we go. I'm gonna throw some questions at you. I don't think we'll have time for every question because we have a lot. It's
Okay.
it's good to know that a lot of people have a very strong interest in their
Yeah.
nutrition for their bird. Okay,
And
so this
maybe,
one is,
if we don't get to them, can they send them to Brenda and I can answer them? And
yes, that's
okay.
why if you guys, if the audience, if you use the Q&A button feature, we can capture your question and then we can email you an answer.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I have a question from Tina, and she says, I have a Eleanor cockatoo. He is on a pelleted diet plus fresh foods through a mixed chop. Some nuts and seeds for treats. His diet is quite varied. However, I don't feel I have a full understanding of his true natural dietary needs. I cannot seem to find any papers on what these cockatoos actually eat in the wild, so I can attempt to better mimic the diet. I've observed that he really likes to dig and scratch, sounds like a cockatoo, and I've watched videos of wild cockatoos foraging this way in the wild. So his natural diet may require more grasses, plants, leaf bulbs, reeds, etc. That's what they're wondering, if maybe infuse the diet with some of those delicacies.
You certainly could. It sounds more like we need to come up with foraging ideas for that species of cockatoo. So yes, I've seen them. They like to dig around. It's almost like we're going to need. It's more, to me, sounding like it's more of a foraging type of behavior. More than they're missing, because from the description, it sounds like they're getting quite a variety. So how do we get that? I think there was a mash mentioned, and nuts. If we can get those where they have to forage like they would in the wild, I think I think it's more that than they're missing nutrients, at least from the description.
Okay. Let's see what else we have. And I said I was curious to know, from your experience, do you tend to see birds that come in overweight or underweight?
Now I'm probably the past 10 to 15 years, I see more overweight.
Okay. Maybe
and it's yeah, it's on both, whether they're on seed or whether they're on a pelleted diet. It's then all the additional stuff. And it's no different with birds than with cats and dogs. Owners love to treat, right? We all love to treat our animals and our pets. So maybe they're giving a few too many treats, or treats that are higher in fats and sugars. Because again, I know a lot of people, if you can give fruits and vegetables, they give fruits more often than they should. And so then we see, obesity, not just from fruit, but from the collective amounts.
Okay.
So I don't want it to sound like fruit is bad. Fruit is not bad. It's the collective amount that is being given.
Okay. And we have a question from Alan. I have just been delivered a large bag of sprouting seeds, and the bag says that these should make up no more than 15% of a budgie's diet. This seemed a bit short to me, as I let my birds have sprouts for 6 to 8 hours a day. Am I wrong?
No, you're not necessarily wrong. I agree with the percentage. I don't, and I think, I don't think you're, what it comes down to, sorry, I'm hesitating. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. So I apologize. I think you can put the 15% down, and when that's gone, that's gone. If it takes, a while, that's fine. If it doesn't, I wouldn't add more to it. So So I'd be interested to know what else they're getting. If that's in addition to, you know, their normal regular diet, then no, I absolutely wouldn't give any more than that.
Okay.
The percentages, I'm surprised that it actually had that on there. I'm glad because the percentages are there for a reason. You know, we shouldn't be feeding more treats than their regular diet, percentage wise. So for instance, if anyone has dogs, their dogs should not get more than 10% of their total calories per day in treats. It should only be up to 10%. The same is true with birds. I might go a little bit higher, but not a whole lot. As long as we're taking all the basically calories into account, then you know, then it's safer for the bird. It's healthier for the bird. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a serving size that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Tandy asks, how does one make sure one's birds get some vitamin D when it's difficult to take them outside? So are there foods or supplements that are worthwhile and effective for delivering vitamin D?
Vitamin D, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of the greens that you're giving will have vitamin D in them. You can always, you know, if you can't get them outside, you can always put them closer to, you know, to the window with the sun coming in. But there are different foods out there with different levels of vitamin D, and I can certainly, if you need to know what those are, I can put some together and send those to you.
Okay. And just I've just looking through them, and we had a lot of questions, so apologize if we didn't get to your question today, but we will give you an email with it.
Yeah.
But I think some of the questions, there was a few that had to just a real quick, if you had a recommendation for the disinfecting the water bowl or the food bowls, what do you recommend for cleaning those out?
That's a great question. And let me ask you guys, what are you doing? Because I'm always interested. There's different disinfectants through veterinary veterinary companies, or through, you know, Amazon, etc. And I'm interested to know what people are doing.
Yeah, I know some of them. I mean, people put them in the dishwasher. They're dishwasher safe. Maybe on a hotter water setting. I'm not sure. But,
yeah.
There are a lot of.
And that's one way, certainly. Depending on the bacteria, the dishwasher might not get them all, which is, you know, that's kind of scary when you think about it for our own health. But I mean, but that is more than reasonable. I also use, and just let me say it and explain it. I also use bleach, but it's not like bleach. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Diluted. To me, that's going to kill most everything. But, you know, I use bleach and then I put it through the dishwasher. So there's no trace of bleach left. So that's why I'm like, you know, no one get mad at me, you know, because it's diluted. You know, I make sure that nothing, you know, harms my birds. I love my birds. So, but for me, that's one of the best ways, as long as, you know, you're washing it out with bleach, etc. And then you are rinsing. Just, you know, washing it out and wiping it out. If you had bleach in it, that's not enough. You definitely,
as you would be comfortable drinking from it, right? Like if you're not
perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, gosh, you know what? We do have a lot of questions that we're not unfortunately get to today, but
I'm sorry,
but
everyone.
Via email. No, this is a great topic. It shows how much we do have our winner. So I got to announce our winner for our giveaway.
Okay.
And today's winner is Asma H. So ASMAH. You are our winner today. Yay.
Yay.
So you are going to be getting a the tropical pellet today, and your bird gets to try those out, and also a bag of your choice from Lafeber. So
that's awesome.
Congratulations. And
maybe we
wow,
can do this
I think
again
we did
sometime.
make a record amount of questions today. That's just like really impressive. So maybe we will address this again, and people. We have a lot of lovebird lovers online with us today. So
yay!
they were excited for lovebirds. So congratulations to the winner. That's awesome. I have some really special announcements, some more special announcements coming up. Our webinars that are coming. So next Friday, October 23rd, we have bird seeds versus pellets. What's the difference, with Dr. Stephanie Lamb? So another nutrition webinar. I think that's going to be a good topic for this audience. And then following that, on October 30th, we have Ask the Vet with Dr. Tom Tolley. And finally, I want to give you a heads up. November 6th is, for me, especially notable webinar, because I am going to be chatting with my former editor of Bird Talk magazine, Melissa Kaufman. We're gonna have a Bird Talk magazine reunion. And with that said, I don't know if you remember at the back of the magazine, we used to have the Watch the Birdie gallery of photos, which, you know, the cute and adorable photos of people's birds. Send us your photo of your bird. We invite you to send it to customerservice@lafeber.com. And we will try to include that in a slideshow. So if you can send those by November 1st. So send it to customerservice@lafeber.com by November 1st. And I think that's all we have time today. Thank you so much, Kara. That was very informative. And I want to go and eat good myself right now, because diet is everything. So
yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think that one chart that you had earlier was, it was so helpful, the visual, to see if your bird was overweight, underweight, all the in-betweens.
Oh, yep.
Because sometimes it's not easy to get your bird to sit on a scale. So at least you have some parameter, right?
Right.
So that's a good one. And we'll have that on the recording here, so you guys can screen capture that.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Well, I hope we have you back soon, because I can tell right now we have a lot of people that want to ask you some, pick your brain and ask some questions. And
awesome. Well, thank you.
Kara.
But we have
and don't forget, it is Veterinary Technician Appreciation Week. So thank you.
That's right. So thank your vet nurses, your vet techs.
There we go. All right, everybody, gotta say goodbye here. And till next week, I just want to say all the best to you and your flock, and take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.